My ace boom coons, what is up? Today is Saturday, March 29th. It's been a busy week, but here we are. First video of the week uploading. I try to do at least 3 videos a week, but this week has been exhausting. But March 29th, peep it out. We're going to do a little mix of some funny and some deep state type of videos, nature, stuff like that. You know what we love. You know what we like. Stay tuned. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know what y'all think of this weird world we're living in. Doesn't it feel staged? I mean, is there such thing as sci-fi anymore? I don't think so. All right.
So the Bobby Kennedy blackmail story is currently breaking in many directions all across the internet. And American politics is not going to be the same after this weekend. That's not hyperbole. This is not just a hook. And I don't really know where to start. But this is the kind of story that I've gotten enough calls from enough people tonight and there's enough going on that I feel like we need to make a video right now to keep some people safe and to get as much as we all know out on the internet right now so that everyone can be safe. And the best place for everyone to start is at Candace's video that she put up today, that she very aptly titled One Nation Under Blackmail. Go watch it. She does a way better job of explaining a bunch of what's going on than I could. But as soon as I was like 10 minutes into it, and then I started getting phone calls from sources telling me more information that is corroborating and taking it even further than what is exposed in that video. And I have sources telling me that there are people in like media and around Bobby that know about this and know it's coming and are trying to protect him and save him from this. But it is past that, and there is no saving anyone from this, I think. And we just have to deal with what's about to happen. So I'm going to leave all of that out, and we're going to start the story here with our girl Jessica, House and Habit. She had tasked one of her writers, Emily Hagan, with writing a hit piece about Candace Owens. They were trying to create or dig up some dirt on Candace's husband for some reason to take her down. For reasons we'll kind of get to in a second. Emily submitted a draft and Jessica, House and Habit, was having her girl, I believe Olivia Nuzzi, read through it, and it was like, we can't publish that, it's too 4chan-y. House and Habit clarified that it needs to be a clean shot. A clean shot to take down Candace Owens. Good fucking luck with that. If you don't remember who Olivia Nuzzi is, she's the woman that had the sexting scandal with RFK last year, who then cozied up to House and Habit for reasons that are not entirely clear, and sort of started secretly editing there behind the scenes and kind of replacing people and getting really close to Jessica Reed Krause, House and Habit, for reasons that are still not entirely clear as far as I'm aware. To be fair, there's a lot that is not entirely clear because this is so complicated and everything in this video is hearsay and rumors. And obviously when they tried to come to Candace and it created all this drama, and Candace don't take no fucking shit, and Jessica had been super mean to the writer of the article and that had then fired her. And so her and Emily had all this drama, and then her other best friend, and it had gotten super fucking vitriolic. And eventually Emily was like, fuck it. I'm just going to go to Candace and come clean and say what's going on. That's how we got this video. And I was only 15 minutes into this video when I started getting interrupted by all kinds of calls from all kinds of people all over the country that have more information about this. Because this story is way past the point of no return. And it is way bigger than some girl drama. So at the second Trump Butler rally in July of last year, House and Habit was hanging out with some of the people that I know and apparently receiving a bunch of phone calls all about this blackmail situation with the Olivia Nuzzi sexting scandal. And while she was taking calls, she was kind of filling them in excitedly on the story as she was getting it, kind of as though she was going to write a piece about it. And what they were told is that it was many, 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 many instances of recorded video sexting stuff. They were told in some form that Olivia Nuzzi's husband was in on recording it, whether that is him tapping her phone or her and him as a husband-wife couple kind of targeting him. I mean, Olivia Nuzzi did insert herself into the RFK campaign, and then all this stuff happened. And then when I was at Rescue the Republic event just a few months later, I was hearing all kinds of rumors, and a lot of people were hearing rumors about dick pics that were apparently coming out that never came out. I suspect that that was a misunderstanding of this story sort of being kind of rumored around. So what we got was a story that Olivia Nuzzi and him had a romantic, emotional connection over the phone that had caused her, it was inappropriate, and he apologized, and so she left the campaign sort of, and then went and got real cozy with House and Habit, who had a lot of details, who was rad. I don't know what happened there, but I know that what a very trusted person on my end told me that they heard at that event was that it was not just that, it was recordings of video sex. There's also a lot of swirling rumors of other people that he's been having sex with that are very heartbreaking and inappropriate. But I started to wonder, who might Olivia Nuzzi and possibly her husband, who, if they'd had that, who might they have passed such blackmail to? Either sold it or been sent by some group. And you need look no further than her Wikipedia page to learn that in 2013, just out of university, actually while still in university, she volunteered as an intern for Anthony Weiner's New York City mayoral campaign. If you don't know about Anthony Weiner, look it up. And that is a direct tie to Huma Abedin and to Hillary Clinton and to, at that point, just pick your term for whatever deep state groups you want to talk about. That blackmail could be anywhere by now, but I think we all know who has it. And Candace certainly knows who has it.
All that we're all doing at the moment is pretending that RFK Jr.'s unflinching loyalty and, quite frankly, his fear of saying anything negative about Israel. I pull up Dave Smith here.
The worst humanitarian catastrophe in the world
You can take
right
me out
now.
of this.
And the idea that you, who are supposed to be the anti-neocon, anti-war presidential candidate, are immediately on October 7th, before we even had an investigation, before we even knew what happened there, you immediately say, well, basically you said everything they say about Ukraine. You said it was an unprovoked attack. Which, like, come on, give me a break. An attack from Gaza against Israel is unprovoked. And then you said, we have to support them in whatever it takes. Well, look, sir, we're watching it right now. This is whatever it takes.
And just to clarify, there's a lot of other evidence that Israel and Israel-aligned people are involved in having this blackmail, but I don't want to get into details just yet because that would kind of compromise some of the journalists that are currently a little at risk. Right now, Bobby's own staff around him they know this, and they have been trying to find the handler that's close to him, because it must be very close in order to be managing his tweets and managing his appearances and everything he's doing. And it sounds like there's a lot of people that are trying to protect him from this coming out, but it is already coming out. And unfortunately, it is out enough that journalists are in danger. And the point of this video is to let everyone know that the journalists are all in connection, and we are all talking, and we all know the story, and we have all shared it already, and we are all location sharing with each other, and we are looking out for each other. And so Emily Hagan is protected, and we are watching her, and we have her location shared, and she's already put her stuff out on the internet. But if anything were to happen to her, we are watching, and we will know who did it. There are other people too that have information about this stuff that are in positions that are a little scary right now. And to everyone out there in the bad team, we are also in touch with them, and we are also watching them and location sharing with them. Do not touch anyone. Decentralized media is doing its thing, and I wish that we didn't have to do it this way. And I do not know all the details yet, and I don't know if every single little detail that I just said is correct, but I know that enough of it is going on, and I'm getting it from at 5 to 6 different sources, 7 different sources tonight, that this is coming out. And the next months are going to be completely insane. To everyone who's going to be watching this unfold, think very critically, take your time. Don't trust anyone. Don't trust me. Just take your time and watch it come out, and don't rush to judgments. There is going to be media spin on media spin on media spin. There will be personal attacks, character assassinations. The entire playbook is about to come out. Jessica, the time to come clean is right now. You have an opportunity to tell the truth. And Bobby, I am sorry that this is how this has to happen, but your opportunity to tell the truth is coming right up. And to everyone that's going to say, I told you so, you're right. You did tell us so. So the Bobby Kennedy blackmail story is...
I'll tell you what, I don't care who's sleeping with who as long as they take the fluoride out of the water and the poison out of our foods. Y'all have at it. But it's about to get juicy. You want some proof you're being poisoned?
Folks, is why you... This right here, folks, is why you need to get your own food out in the woods in the wild, baby, or grow it. You're not even calling them tomatoes anymore. It's a biolocue. We ain't in Latin America. This organic means that the rest of the store, the PLU number is 4. Throw it out the door. This right here, these are 9. 9 is fine. You can wash the pesticide off. Conventionally grown means that it's systemically introduced through the roots and that you cannot wash it off because the pesticide, herbicide, and insecticide is within it. Oh, you want another example of things to stay away from in the grocery store, you ask? Read your ingredients. That right there, do you see what that says? Yep, I'm talking about that canola oil. When it's superheated like they do in the manufacturing process, it's really bad for you because it oxidizes. For those of you who do not know what oxidation means, think of rust in your tubes. Just so y'all know, I am New Boot Goofing by Cal. They sent me a pair of boots because of my ice fishing video on YouTube. And don't worry, we're gonna throw some things in here that are actually helpful for you to get at a grocery store if you don't want to be poisoned. For example, one of them is soup, not this soup. So we'll come back to that in a second. Feel free to pause the screen at any time if you want to pause and actually read those ingredients. And that is one of the biggest cheat codes that you can use in a grocery store is reading the label. Some of the things like cheese, you're not going to be able to just read the label. You're actually going to have to look up the manufacturing process to find out if they put wood chips in there. So this especially pisses me off. This is marketed to our children as a country, and it's got more ingredients than Czechoslovakia has in its full name. I mean, you're talking about sodium sterol lactate, aka acid in your gut microbiome. Everything in this aisle is a simple sugar that's going to spike your blood sugar, make you a pre-diabetic. However, there are some good alternatives. As you can see here, the ingredients are all organic. Cane sugar, apple cider, strawberry juice, poppy for the win. Oh, and this one right here tastes like Dr. Pepper. If only all these people knew what they're putting into their bodies, but it's not their fault. This is what our country has, is our regulatory agencies, our EPA, USDA, and everything in between would rather sacrifice our health and our well-being for the profit margins in all of this food. As promised, here is a trustable soup. This is Amy's soup. Check out those ingredients. Everything makes sense. Nothing is hard to sound out, and you can grow all of that in a garden. That's a good sign. If you guys are interested in more in this information of growing your own food, you can grow your own food using grow kits. I ship nationwide to anybody that wants to. And you can also check out my hunting and fishing and camping content on YouTube. Also, my bigger TikTok account is called Blom Treezy. That's her last name, BLOHM TREEZY. And you can also check out our website, growingfruition.com, GROWINGFRUIT, like the fruit, ION, all one word, .com.
When are we going to investigate the FDA? Seriously, though. Like, what's up? All this disclosure, all these important topics being exposed, but who's getting prosecuted? Okay, the next video I'm about to play has something to do with what you're reading right here. I want y'all to listen and read it for yourselves. Listen closely. And it's a theory, okay, for entertainment purposes only. It's not anti-Semitic. Let's stop the bullshit. Okay, so in Revelation 2:9 and 3:9, Jesus refers to a specific group, not all Jews, as a synagogue of Satan. Those who claim to be Jewish but are not, who are persecuting the church. All right. Now, check out this other verse. Make sure you read the rest of this here. Just read it. I'm not going to read it for you. Just read it. It's on the screen right now. Pause the video. But check this other verse out. Before I get to the other verse, look at what Google does here. Jesus is not it says the verse has unfortunately been used to justify anti-Semitism throughout history. It's not Semitism, dude. It's not anti-Semitism. It just is what it is. I mean, by their fruits, you will know who they are. Revelation 2:9. I know your tribulation and your poverty, but you are rich. And the slander of those who say that they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. Dwell on that. Ponder on that. Think about it. Do your own research. Makes me think. Who are the real Jews? Are we protecting a nation of Zionists who are anti-Christ? Think about it. Those are the same Jews that crucified Jesus, you know? Now, if Jesus were here, the Jews that are in power right now would probably do the same thing. Synagogue of Satan. For entertainment purposes only, of course. All right, now check this out.
Well, the wait is over. Israel's stranglehold on American politicians is finally being exposed. And of course, who would be exposing it? None other than Candace Owens.
So we discussed yesterday how we all kind of know who killed JFK, but we keep doing this weird song and dance in America, like oh, it's awkward. We don't want to say, well, things are adding up. And we've always known that we weren't really waiting for the release of these files to vindicate us. It's very clear. Why else would you lock something down for this long? It's very clear who was involved. And the weirdest song and dance and all that we're all doing at the moment is pretending that RFK Jr.'s unflinching loyalty and quite frankly, his fear of saying anything negative about Israel is not bizarre.
This administration is fully compromised. I noticed as soon as he appointed Marco Rubio, I was like, what is going on here? That makes no sense. And then he went and criticized Thomas Massie and called for him to be primaried. That was a huge red flag. Then you have Kennedy coming out and saying that October 7th was a Holocaust. This crazy deporting students, legal immigrants, because they're critical of Israel, because they're writing op-eds against the genocide? Like, no, this is crazy. This is an Israel first platform. This is not what we voted for. We were against war. Now suddenly we're fighting Israel's wars. We were supposed to end foreign aid. And instead we've canceled all foreign aid and given Israel more foreign aid than ever before. And for what reason? Because they're our greatest ally. What have they ever done for us? What has Israel ever done for the United States of America except trick us into going to war in Iraq for weapons of mass destruction that weren't there?
There is no question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons. No question whatsoever.
There were no weapons of mass destruction. They said there are weapons of mass destruction. I was against the war.
Believe that a clear connection between Saddam and September 11th must be established before we have a right to prevent the next September 11th. Well, I think not.
The Iraqis did not knock down. It was not Saddam Hussein that knocked down the World Trade Center. Okay, and nobody really knows why we went into Iraq.
The more victories you amass, the easier the next victory becomes. The first victory in Afghanistan makes the second victory in Iraq that much easier. The second victory in Iraq will make the third victory that much easier.
Going into Iraq may have been the worst decision anybody has made, any president has made in the history of this country. That's how bad it is, okay?
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
We have spent $2 trillion in Iraq and fighting Iraq. $2 trillion. $2 trillion. Thousands of lives. We got nothing.
My whole life, I have watched Netanyahu manipulate the American people and our politics.
Democracies don't go to war easily, and they usually debate and argue before they do. Sometimes they have to be bombed into going to war. Here's a diagram. This is a bomb. It's a map. It's a map of a curse.
He came to this country and got states to pass laws that we couldn't boycott Israel, a foreign country, American citizens. It's illegal for us to boycott a foreign country.
בשנים האחרונות קידמנו בארצות הברית, ויש כבר ברוב המדינות שם, חוקים שמי שמחרים את ישראל נענש בעצמו. אז זה לא יעזור להם, אנחנו לא מתרגשים מזה, ואנחנו נלחמים בזה.
Absolute insanity. That's what I've been railing against this entire time. And now Trump is in full support of this. They are terrified of Israel. Terrified. And yeah, I'm sure it's blackmail, but I'm sure that it might be even more than that. There is some existential threat that would make every U.S. politician, including Nancy Pelosi, who said one of the most ridiculous things I have ever heard a politician say, that if our capital was to burn to the ground, the one thing that would remain would be our support of, oh, I don't even like to call it support, our cooperation with Israel.
If this capital crumbled to the ground, the one thing that would remain is our commitment to our aid, and I don't even call it aid, our cooperation with Israel.
What an unholy load of shit. Congratulations to all the people out there who aren't influencers and had the balls, like myself, to lose parts of their audience and come out and admit, nope, we didn't vote for this. This isn't right. And you should always hold politicians to task. We should have no politicians that have allegiances to foreign countries running our country, sending our money overseas.
They know I'm coming. Okay, they definitely know I'm coming, because you know what, Olivia Nuzzi? You didn't take a clean effing shot.
Well, the wait is over. Israel's stranglehold on American politicians is
All right, y'all. Couple more videos full of knowledge today, okay? How many of y'all know about the Jubilee? 2025 is the year of Jubilee. It happens every 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. It used to happen every 50 years, okay? But it's become very, it was always been spiritual, but they took the monetary part out of it here in the States. And, well, you can make your own assumptions why, but I think it's to keep you poor, to keep you in poverty, you know? But here's a recap, a summary in 90 seconds of what Jubilee actually is. And then I'm going to give you one last video, a 6-minute video of a awesome breakdown of what Jubilee was and what it's supposed to be.
What is a Jubilee? In 90 seconds. A Jubilee, traditionally called a holy year, goes all the way back to Leviticus 25, where every 50 years the Lord commanded a special time of renewal, of rest, and of forgiveness. Among the Jewish people, debts were cancelled, slaves were set free, and the land was left fallow in order to be renewed, symbolizing a spiritual reset for God's people. Recognizing that we all sometimes need a spiritual boost, Pope Boniface VIII saw the potential, and he launched the first ever Universal Jubilee in the year 1300. Originally, it was supposed to be every 100 years, but other popes wanted in on the action, so the interval was shortened to 50 and then 25 years. The idea being everyone would have the opportunity of experiencing the grace of a Jubilee. Every now and then, however, popes like to shake things up by declaring extraordinary jubilees, like Pope Francis in 2016 when he declared the Jubilee Year of Mercy. In the recent Vatican document, Spes Nos Confunded, Pope Francis announced that 2025 would be the Jubilee Year of Hope. It was in that document that he reminded us that true hope is rooted in the steadfast mercy of God, who never abandons his people. His point is that God has not forgotten you. In fact, God wants to work in your life in ways that you cannot even begin to imagine. This year is about renewed prayer. It's about the forgiveness of others and also reaching out to those on the margins. Jubilee is also a very special time for pilgrimage, particularly to the holy doors in Rome, but also to other places of spiritual significance around the world, like my parish church in Manly. The church has gifted us this amazing opportunity. Let's make the most of it. That's the Jubilee year in 90 seconds.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Let's interact, though. What are your thoughts? Why do you think they still celebrate Jubilee, but they just left out the debt part of it? Why do you think they left out the monetary side of it? I'd like your thoughts. Why are we no longer resetting our debt so we can all have an even playing field? I think that's pretty interesting. Check this video out, though.
Let me ask you about the debt jubilee. Since this debt jubilee, when there is debt jubilee, that apparently it goes back even 4,000 years. In the ancient Babylon, it was the time, as you know, and you wrote about this in your books as well, that ancient kings would sometimes forgive the debts of people. Do you think we actually will be witnessing something like this in our lifetime, the debt jubilee?
It wasn't just the kings sometimes wiped out the debt. Every new king in Mesopotamia, every new king in Sumer, every new king of Hammurabi's dynasty in Babylon, when they took the throne, they would wipe out the debt. And there's a simple reason. The Babylonians had an economic model of the business cycle that is more mathematically sophisticated than the models that are taught and used in the West today. The model is very simple. And I've explained it in my book, Killing the Host, and other books. We have the mathematics that are trained to scribes in Babylon in 1800 BC. And the model is quite simple. Any debt, interest-bearing debt, is a doubling time, and it grows exponentially. X equals Y squared. That's the growth of debt. But the real economy grows more slowly. It begins to grow, and it tapers off in an S curve. Now, what do you do when the amount of debt grows, but the economy grows slower and is unable to pay? What do you do when there's a crop failure and the farmers can't pay the debt? If you did not cancel the debts, then you would have all of the land and all of the people's labor ending up being owed to the creditors. And the Babylonian rulers did not want to see a financial aristocracy develop. Well, today, this is exactly what's happening. All of the Near East, and you have the Babylonian debt cancellation, the clean slate, was taken over word for word in the biblical lands by the Jubilee year of Leviticus 25. You cancel the debts, you free all of the bond servants that have been pledged for debt, and you return the land to farmers who pledged the land and forfeited it for debt. Well, right today, you have in the US economy and in the European economies, you have debt growing much faster than the economy. Well, the result is that the debt to GDP and debt to national income is rising for everybody. Families owe much more debt relative to their income. Corporations owe much more debt relative to their profits. Profits are all being paid out to the banks, and you're having finance take over essentially the entire economy. So what we're having in the West is not the kind of industrial capitalism that people expected to see in the 19th century. We have instead finance capitalism, which is sort of a retreat. The bankers and the landlords and the rent seekers have fought back against Adam Smith, against John Stuart Mill, against Marx, and against the socialists to say, well, we're going to reestablish a kind of feudalism that this time it's controlled by the bankers, not the landlords. And that's what's happening everywhere. And if the debts are not written down and not canceled, then countries like Latin America will all be in the position that, say, Haiti has been in ever since it won its freedom from France in the early 19th century. All of Haiti's money had to be paid essentially to France in the form bonds that were sold to bondholders, and Haiti ended up never being able to earn its way out of poverty. Greece had a revolution away from Turkey and the Ottoman Empire in the 1820s, and it had to borrow money from the Ricardo brothers. And the money that it paid, it defaulted again and again and again, and ended up not being able to develop. And the same thing happened around 2015 when you had the crisis of the Greek kleptocrats avoiding paying taxes, keeping I think $25 billion in Switzerland instead of paying the taxes, and the result is that Greece had to borrow $25 billion in euros, and ended up because it didn't wipe out the debt as a result of pressure from the Obama administration in the United States. Greece ended up being utterly impoverished and has remained impoverished because it had to repay the debt. All of Latin America is impoverished. Argentina, which was apparently seemed to be the world's richest country in the 19th century, has been absolutely impoverished for a century by its foreign debt, most of which is owned by its own kleptocracy, by the way. So if you don't write down the debt, then families, corporations, and governments are going to pay all of this debt service to the bonds and to the bank loans owed by bondholders in the United States, and you might as well become a colony of the United States once again, because if you have to pay the debt, then all of your national income, all of your personal income and corporate income is going to be paid to bondholders of this US dollar debt. So the Jubilee is a price to be paid for breaking away from American financial colonialism and American monetary imperialism.
Ooh,
The debt
yes,
Jubilee.
sir. Thank you, sir. It is a price we pay for capitalism and imperialism. I love how he ended that. Greed, dude. Greedy. Greedy, greedy, greedy. So we are in the year Jubilee. If this were back in the day, we'd wipe out these debts. You'd be better off. You'd be a higher class, at a higher tax rate, a higher tax bracket. You would be a lot more blessed, but greedy. Greed, greed, greed. Zionism, capitalism, corporations taking over, banking systems taking over. It's messed up. Let's pray for wisdom. I hope you got something out of this video today. God bless you. See you on the next one.